You know, I often, when we're trying to impress upon investors how important this movement is, what I usually say is, okay, listen to this and listen to every word, because every word is important. Bitcoin is the first global. That's really important, as Michael said. Private, now it's open source, but there's no government involvement. So private. So first global, private, digital, rules-based monetary system in the history of the world. It is a very big idea. Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So today's Saturday and I wanted to just play that for you guys. This was obviously a clip from the Bitcoin conference and it was titled "The Future is Bright" with Michael Saylor and Cathie Woods. Very interesting video from both of them. As far as the topics covered were pretty vast as far as where they see Bitcoin going and things like that. So obviously take a look at it if you have a chance. We'll take a look at some of the other ones here in the next videos as well, kind of point out some of the bigger topics I think that were covered that were interesting. Obviously what Cathie Woods said is right on, right? So Bitcoin is the first, which is digital. It is, rules-based. You can't change the rules unless you have the developers change the rules, and then it gets adopted by all the miners. So that is why Bitcoin is the mother of all coins. As always, not financial advice, but what we're going to get into here today is Argo provided their blockchain, their updates for March. We're going to get into that. We're going to take a look at Tesla, Blockstream, what they're up to, and we'll also take a look at the miners versus Bitcoin for the weekly review that we always do on here. So this might be a little bit longer video than normal. We'll try to keep it as short as possible, but just to let you guys know. All right, let me get things set up here. And first we'll take a look at the miners here. So here we go. All right, sorry for that long intro there. So Annie right now obviously finished out the day yesterday. So this is Saturday I'm recording this on. So yesterday was down 11.76% to $1.80. It is up a little bit in after hours, obviously yesterday, 2.78% to $1.85. Argo is up a little bit, 2.39% on maybe possibly on the news that they provided. Obviously their mining report, we'll take a look at it. But it was up 2.39% to 90 cents. Bitfarms was down 3.34% to $3.18. It was up slightly in after hours. Cleanspark was down another 6.55% to $10.41. Cores was down, actually up 1.15% to $8.34. Digihost was down 6% to $3.43. DMG was down 1.68% to 50 cents. Hive was down another 2.63% to $1.85. And Hut 8 was down 3.89% to $4.69. Excuse me. And then Iris Energy was down 2.43 to $13.67. It was up a little bit, obviously, in the after hours, another 2.78% to $14.05. Luxxfolio was up 3.85 to 27 cents. Marathon was down 4.59% to $22.68. And Mawson was down 10.52% to $4.17. Up slightly in the after hours. And Riot was down 4.25% to $16.68. Obviously, we had a pretty bad week for Bitcoin. Unfortunately, it obviously started out stronger, then obviously dwindled down towards the very end of the week. So it's going to be a negative week pretty much for all of the miners and for Bitcoin as far as us tracking it Friday to Friday. And let's take a look at Bitcoin right now, see what it's doing. So Bitcoin right now is at 42,523. It is obviously below the 50-day, 20-day moving averages and the 200-day moving averages as well. This is the daily chart here that we're looking at. And it is now, the RSI is at 44.96. We've obviously continued to go down here in the last 5 days. And since this week started out, we were a little bit better off over the weekend. And then last week, we obviously had a really good rally here. So one of the things that we want to keep an eye on is to make sure that the 50-day and the 20-day, which the 50-day is a green line here and the 20-day is a red line. We don't want to have those cross again, which would obviously signal going down lower, which we could end up hitting that resistance or our support here at 37,500. Our current support is at 40,700 roughly. We are above that, but we may come down and test this again. Last time we tested the 40,700 mark was right here, and the RSI was much higher. was at 53. We are at 45 right now. So I'm thinking, this is just my thinking here, we may come down and actually test this before the end of the weekend or early next week. Into Monday and Tuesday, we may test this before we actually start going back up higher, which would probably have the RSI come back down to the 30s here on the daily chart. And the last time we were in the 30s. On that, we were down here on 25th of January, and we had a price of approximately $37,000 on it. It was obviously battling with this resistance at 37,500 here. So we'll see how this plays out going forward. Ethereum is actually at 3,232. So it is now battling with we're kind of bouncing between, what is that? The 200-day and the 20-day lines here. So 20-day line is the red line, 200-day is the blue line. And you can see we're kind of bouncing off of it here. So it's battling right now. RSI is at 53. And last time we were here on the 53, right around here, we were at 2,953. So the same thing could happen here. We could come down and possibly test the support here on the 50-day moving average, which we did back here as well. And it connected as resistance over here. So like I said, we'll have to see how this all plays out. We may come back down a little bit more before we finally bottom out here in this phase of the bull run possibly. All right, so let's take a look at some of the stories here. First, we'll take a look at the Tesla Blockstream story, and then we'll get into Argo's information here. So I thought this was really interesting. So Tesla, Block, and Blockstream team up to mine Bitcoin off solar power in Texas. This is obviously a huge deal because, as we know, a lot of people are saying that Bitcoin uses a lot of electricity, that it's not environmentally friendly, and if they can do this and show a profit on this, this is going to be a huge kind of catalyst possibly for the other miners to go in this route as well. Obviously, the infrastructure to get this all in is going to be expensive because you're having to put in batteries, you're having to put in solar, everything else. We don't know the cost of it or what the return on it is. So this is a test basically. So key points: Blockstream and Jack Dorsey's Block, formerly Square, are breaking ground on a solar battery-powered Bitcoin mine in Texas using solar and storage technology from Tesla. Tesla's 3.8 megawatt solar PV array and 12 megawatt hour mega pack will power the facility. So Blockstream and Jack Dorsey's Block, formerly Square, are breaking ground on a solar and battery powered Bitcoin mine in Texas that uses solar and storage technology from Tesla. So Tesla has those battery packs that they obviously have set up for industrial applications and for home use applications as well. So Tesla's 3.8 megawatt solar PV array and 12 megawatt hour mega pack will power the facility. Blockstream co-founder and CEO Adam Back, a British cryptographer and member of the Cyberpunk crew, told CNBC on the sidelines of the Bitcoin 2022 conference in Miami that the mining facility is designed to be a proof of concept for 100% renewable energy Bitcoin mining at scale. This is important. Here's a quote from him: "People like to debate about the different factors to do with Bitcoin mining. We figured let's just prove it, have an open dashboard so people can play along. Maybe it can inform other players to participate," Beck said. The dashboard will be publicly accessible and show real-time metrics of the project's performance, including power output and total Bitcoin mined. So that is important, right? You have that transparency. This is a step to proving our thesis that Bitcoin mining can fund zero-emission power infrastructure and build economic growth for the future, Beck said. So improving the economics of renewables. So you get this perfect overlap with both sun quality and wind speed in West Texas, said Sean Connell, Executive Vice President of Power at Houston-based tech company Lancium. Somebody was partnering with Lancium. I can't remember who. Was it Argo or somebody else, maybe Mawson. Somebody was partnering with Lancium, I believe. But a lot of the wind and solar power is concentrated in remote parts of the state with no financial incentive. There's little reason to build out renewable infrastructure to harness this energy. So miners, miners provide demand to these semi-stranded assets and make renewables in Texas economically viable, according to Castle Island Ventures' Nick Carter. Beck said the off-grid mine, expected to be completed later this year, highlights another key tenet of the Bitcoin network. Miners are location agnostic and can do it from anywhere without local infrastructure. Right, so if you have solar, you can basically set up anywhere that you want. Should the project prove profitable in its pilot stage, Beck said the companies would add wind power to the mix and scale the entire project. You're making a sort of calculation of the optimal economic mix between solar and battery. Beck said there's 3.8 megawatts of solar and 1 megawatt of mining. So you can see you have to over provision because the peak solar input varies during the day, and of course it's not there at night, which is obviously a fact that you have to take into account. Adding wind to the mix, however, would reduce overall costs and help to balance out the downtime with solar, right? So that's correct as well. Ultimately, Blockstream said a key goal is to strengthen the Bitcoin network by diversifying the cryptocurrency's energy sources, which is also correct. So this is very interesting. If they can pull this off, this is going to be a huge win for the Bitcoin industry in general. Because if you can do this, and you're basically doing it all green, all natural, this is going to be really, really good, I think. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys. All right, so let's get into Argo here. Argo numbers are unimpressive, to say the least, I can say. They haven't really grown anything, but they are obviously putting things into motion that will get them to a higher hash rate. So Argo Blockchain PLC announces March 2022 operational update. So operational update: during the month of March, Argo mined 163 Bitcoin or Bitcoin equivalent, together BTC, compared to 135 BTC in February of 2022. Based on daily foreign exchange rates and cryptocurrency pricing during the month, mining revenue in March amounted to 5.22 million. Those are pounds, and that's 6.92 million USD. Argo generated this income at a Bitcoin and Bitcoin equivalent mining margin of approximately 74% for the month of March. At the end of March, the company owned 2,700 Bitcoin, of which 259 were BTC equivalents. And then we go on to update on Helios facility. Also want to point out there is no mention of hash rate. It doesn't look like they installed anything in the month of February. And month of March, it looks like. We'll look at my numbers here shortly. So Helios update: the 200 megawatt flagship cryptocurrency mining facility, Helios in Dickens County, Texas. The company has continued to make significant progress in the stage of construction, expects mining operation to commence at Helios in Q2, which we are now in. Argo has successfully installed critical equipment, including immersion pumps, air coolers, transformers, power distribution units, and pallet racks. Additionally, the fiber internet connection to Helios has now been completed, so that's all great. So these are going to be the immersion cooled miners. And then we got some just basic information participating in the April conference. There isn't much else below that. And just the numbers here. So one of the things that I want to take a look at is, I don't know if they're calculating what they're earning each and every day, or if they're using the end of the month price of Bitcoin, like most of the miners are doing. So let's take a look at the numbers that I have for them here, and we'll get into it. So Argo. Here's what I got. So 163 Bitcoins were mined in March. I'm using the value of Bitcoin at the end of March, which was 45,528, to come up with 7.4 million in USD. They reported, what did they report? 6.92, which is pretty close. We're off by about 500,000. So that's why I'm questioning whether they're using the daily rate and how much they basically mine each day, and adding it all up to that, or if they're obviously, I don't know which price they're using for Bitcoin in that one. So that's where I have them at right now, which is really close to the numbers here, but which we'll get into here shortly. So 7.4 million, which is a good increase, obviously, from February, which is 28 more. They did mine a heck of a lot more back in December, 214. And as we look at their overall numbers here, they haven't really installed anything in the last 3 months, or at least not reporting it, which is interesting to note. And we can also see that the amount that they're mining has gone down. But the other thing is, in order to get to those numbers that they're reporting here, the 5.8, 6.6 here in January, I'm having to basically put them out of operation for a number of days to get the numbers down. So that's kind of weird that they would be shut down for basically almost 9 days in February, and another 9 days in March. Not sure what's going on there, how they're calculating it. If anybody has any input on that or knows something more on that, please put it down in the comments below. I'd love to find out what's going on here to get us, to the same numbers here. So are they actually shutting down miners because they're required to for whatever reason, or if there's something else that's going on, like I said, where they're basically valuing the coins each day, depending on how many they mined per day, and then putting value to it and coming up with the numbers they are. So that could be also it. All right, so that's what we got. Institution-wise, updated this yesterday, so 45 institutions, so it's an increase of 4 over the last time we checked. Number of shares by institutions increased also to 68.6 million. Now they are about 16% owned by institutions. We've also had another buy rating added to it, so we got 2 strong buys, 2 regular buys, and then price targets have come down a little bit, so the high is now 353 instead of 357. Average is 298 and the low is 214 from institutions as far as covering them. So that covers that. And right now we're looking at, well, let's take a look here. So the price is 90 cents on them. They are at 1.6 exahash right now. Future hash rate is about 3.7. That's been reported. So they are about 43% operational right now. We're obviously waiting for more miners to get installed here. And they are pretty much right now at a price earnings multiple of 5 on the per share price. I have them at 99 cents right now. But here's the combined numbers. So current quarter, we're looking at about 19.9, almost 20 million for earnings. Last 3 quarters was about 76.6 million. So that's combined of 96 million for the 4 quarters here, previous ones. And we're using the 75% net income from gross revenue, which would get us to the 72.4 million. And then obviously if we're using the price earnings multiple of 5, they're at 99 cents right now. But I could easily see that going up to 10, possibly maybe even 12. So this should be around 239, I would think, with future growth. With that being said, obviously they are undervalued, but the stock is performing the way it is because they haven't seen any growth here, it looks like, in the miners. They still have obviously these miners here, the 38 terahash miners. I would like to see those get, turned off, sold, gotten rid of, just to get their hash rate up higher, because right now they're at 61.6 terahash per miner on average with 26,000 miners installed. And the BTC HODL right now is 2,700, so that's basically a value of 114 million. And that's a HODL market cap is 35%, which is really high. So right now, obviously, investors are not valuing their future growth as much as they probably should be. So each share right now has 32 cents of Bitcoin HODL value in it compared to some of the other miners that have a lot less percentage-wise. All right, so I think that is it. I think we covered everything here on it. Obviously, the numbers, they're obviously going to be growing here in the Q2. Not much has happened in Q1, unfortunately, so they've kind of stalled out as far as that. I'm still surprised that they actually mined more in March, which is surprising because they didn't add anything, or at least they didn't report on adding anything. And obviously, the Bitcoin network hash rate has continued to go up, so it's kind of weird. Possibly the days being mined, not sure what's going on there. So if you guys have any clarification on that, that would be great. Okay, so okay month for them, like I said, undervalued still in my opinion. And then if everything stayed the same, if we're using the 20 multiple to earnings, we'd be about $4.31 by the end of the year if everything stayed the same, Bitcoin price, hash rate, everything. So that's kind of where my projection is on that if things stay the same. Obviously, we won't know. Bitcoin could go up, Bitcoin could go down as well. We'll have to see how this all plays out. All right, so let's take a look at the miners weekly here, see how everybody did along with Bitcoin, and then how that compares to their prior 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and 12 weeks, and we'll call it a day. Okay, so miners weekly, we can see here that Bitcoin was down about 8.63% on the week. It was down about almost $4,000 on the week here. And Argo was down about the same, about 10% down, 10 cents down on the week. Bitfarms was down 16%. Cleanspark was down 18%. Core Scientific was down only about 2%. Digi was about 1.5%. DMG was down 9.5%. Hive was down 12.32%. Hot A was down 15.65%. Iris was down 13.48%. Luxxfolio was down 3.3%. Marathon was down 20.5%. And Mawson was down 17.25% roughly. And Riot was down 19.5% roughly. The two here that I'm still waiting on their March results was Mawson and Luxxfolio. Mawson usually provides those numbers around the midway point of each month, so we still have a couple more days before they provide that, possibly next week sometime. Luxxfolio is a newer one that I'm covering. I'm not sure when they're going to provide those numbers, but we'll obviously cover it when they do. But looking at it here on the charts, Let's do a quick descending order for the weekly chart and come down here. And we can see that Digihost was the only one, obviously, that did better than Bitcoin, along with Core Scientific, Luxxfolio, and then everybody else here had a worse week than Bitcoin, with Marathon being down the most, 20.5%, followed by Riot and then Cleanspark. If we look at the 4-week chart on it, let's see here, descending, going to here, we can see that Digihost has done the best, followed by DMG, Luxxfolio, Iris, and then Bitcoin. Bitcoin's only up 1.16% in the last 4 weeks, had you bought 4 weeks ago. Then you got Argo, and then everybody else here would be below it. Marathon is still the one that's doing the worst here. It's down 18.77%, followed by Hut, Bitfarms, Riot, Cleanspark, Mawson. Oh, that's the 1 week. Am I looking at the 1 week? Oh, that's the 4 week. And then on the 8 week, let's take a look at it here. Sort of descending. So had you bought 8 weeks ago, Mawson, you'd be up 20%. Cleanspark, you'd be up 16.5%. Luxxfolio, you'd be up 10%. DMG 7, Digihost 7. Bitcoin is up basically 5%. And then Argo, Core, and Iris are about 1% up. Everybody else here is down. Hut 8 is down 21%. Had you bought 8 weeks ago. And then looking at the 12-week time frame, take a look at it here. Cleanspark is the clear winner. You'd be up 62% had you bought 12 weeks ago on Cleanspark, followed by Iris, Core Scientific. Bitcoin is up almost 16%. Digihost is down up 11%, followed by Riot, Marathon, and then Hive, along with Luxxfolio, Mawson, DMG, Argo, Bitfarms, and Hut 8. You would be down on those for the 12 weeks. So looking at our total chart here, we can see obviously pretty much right across the board for this week. We have had obviously pretty good ones for Cleanspark in the last 12 weeks or so. A lot of greens here. Who else? Digihost has pretty nice mixed bag. Core. So it's kind of interesting to take a look at it this way just to see what's green and red for the weeks. But overall, I think I'm surprised, to be honest. I'm actually surprised that Bitcoin didn't rally this week because of the Bitcoin conference that's going on, but I think it's just everything that's going on in the world, possible interest rate hikes continuing to go up, maybe 50 basis points coming up. We obviously have to see what the inflation is for March. We're still waiting on those numbers. Those should be out, I think, next week. And obviously the war going on in Ukraine. So a lot of things are kind of stifling the market right now, I think. But we'll see how it goes. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of all the numbers, obviously. And then, as I said, go ahead and take a look at some of the videos from the Bitcoin conference. Very interesting, very enlightening conversations that they had on there. I'll probably post a couple more videos, starter videos with some of those interactions that I found were really interesting. And we'll call it that. If you enjoyed it, obviously hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. I do appreciate you guys greatly watching the videos, so thank you so much for that. Have a wonderful weekend. I don't know if I have anything out tomorrow. We'll see if anything happens. Otherwise, I'll see you guys probably back on Monday. So have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. Until then,